Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I want to welcome everyone to our meeting of May 15th. Please note the council's in full attendance. We do have a first item we need to take care of is wrap up our city council elections, or lack of elections, I guess I should say. We've already declared the candidates elected, so congratulations. And the certificates of elections, I did sign them. I get to sign them. If I didn't, we wouldn't have had a meeting tonight. So it crossed my mind not to, but anyway.
So we didn't have to have a meeting?
If I wouldn't have signed them, but no. And joking aside, but I'm glad that we got through with all that. So, who wants to handle? We're going to do the oath of office. We're going to do that out here, and I know some people want to take a few pictures. Y'all want to do everybody at the same time? Save time. Why don't all four of you guys? I'm looking at OC because I'm assuming you're going to kind of control. Okay.
April will be on this side, and the four council members on this side.
I'll let them.
Do boy, girl, boy, girl.
He needs his director's beanie.
Oh, normally I hide behind them, so I'm not in the picture. Now I've got to move over.
Director's beanie.
Okay. Let me point this at him a little bit more. There we go.
I think I'm out of the way.
You'll raise your right hand, please, and repeat after me. I, and state your name,
I, Jeff Faulkner,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I will faithfully execute the duties
of the office of City Council Member
of the office of City Council Member
for the City of Victoria
for the City of Victoria
and of the State of Texas,
and of the State of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and to the best of my ability
preserve,
preserve,
protect, and defend the Constitution
the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and laws of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Some signatures. They're in order, so.
Congratulations, Josephine.
Okay. So it's official. I wanted to make a quick comment about, we didn't have to have an election, which I know the four of you appreciated, and I know the community appreciates your continued service, but I think it's very telling that we didn't have to have an election. It's testament to the good job that the four of you guys do, and all seven of us, I think, in coming together in a professional manner and handling the city's business. And I appreciate that from you guys very, very much. I really enjoy working with y'all, so I'm glad you're still here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we now, procedure dictates we elect a mayor pro tem. The process for that,
We can take nominations from the floor because we do not have a nomination ballot ahead of time. And the easiest way to do that is to open the floor to nominations, to allow nominations to be made. When there are no further nominations, I'll ask for, are there any other nominations? Robert's Rules requires that I say that 3 times, but I think we can probably dispense with that in this small of a group. And then we would go to elections, depending on how many people get nominated. If it's a single person nominated, we would just vote by acclamation. If there more than one person gets nominated, I have paper ballots here.
I'd like to nominate Jeff Faulknight.
Okay. Are there any others?
I'd like to nominate Tom Halapaska.
Okay. Are there any others? Are there any others? That makes 3. We're within the rules now. All right, hearing no others, we have 2 names that have been nominated for Mayor Pro Tem. I have ballots here, and as we have done in the past, I will remind members of the public that we do not conduct secret ballots, so all of these will be preserved in the city secretary's office. I'll ask that each council member write their name at the top of the ballot, and then in the blanks below, if you will write one name, either Tom Halapaska or Jeff Faulknight. And then when you're done with that, you can pass it back to me. The city secretary and I will tabulate and announce the results.
and while we're waiting, of course, as Mayor Pro Tem, you can correct me, Ms. City Manager, but somewhat ceremonial, does run the meetings when I'm not around. And I think any one of you could be a great Mayor Pro Tem. So I'm glad we have people willing to do it.
In an exciting, close race and a 4-3 vote, the Mayor Pro Tem will be Tom Halapaska. Congratulations, Mr. Halapaska.
All right, moving forward, we'll move into items from council. I have a couple, as I usually do, but does anybody have anything?
I have a couple,
Okay.
aside from the one listed. We'll wait on that one for a minute. Had a constituent call, spoke to her today. She was asking about Magruder Street and where it was on the CIP. And I explained it wasn't on the 5-year look ahead. I'd like to at least get an estimate of that rebuild cost so that we can maybe put it at the tail end. It's part of that country club area that would have had maintenance done to it, but doesn't have a base that's adequate. And then also, she pointed out that there used to be load limit signs on that road. And I don't know if the hurricane took them down or we took them down. And with the base being as bad as it is and the numerous potholes, I'd like to revisit having that sign put back up for load limit on it. And then just to bring y'all aware, there's an issue that I'll be working with Mr. Kaminsky on and probably the planning department and Mr. Goosh that has to deal with the development ordinances. And I want to make a proposal to change it on when our ordinances trigger sidewalks having to be installed on existing properties. Right now, the way it reads, there are, if you do any expansion to your building, then it triggers a sidewalk improvement. And I think there's one other caveat too, and I have it printed here somewhere. But, so that means if you have a $100,000 square foot building and you added 5,000 square feet, you got to put sidewalks around the whole thing if they're not already there. So any expansion to an existing building could trigger it. And I just think it's an impediment to development. And I think that a more appropriate way that I'd like to look at it is a percentage of the square footage that you're adding to the building. that would make it the trigger. And I know we're trying to do infill, but if you look at some of the size of the projects for expansion versus the cost of sidewalks down an entire road, it could kill the whole project. So hopefully in about a month, I'll be able to bring something to y'all, a proposal for y'all to look at.
Now, I think
Discuss.
normally, these type of revisions go to the planning commission, and then the planning
Okay.
commission looks and sends a recommendation to council.
Okay.
Are you okay with that?
Yes.
As the chair of the planning commission for years, I'm sure you may remember that. So, staff can work on something and
Okay,
visit with you and then take it to planning if you're okay with that.
that'd be perfect.
Okay.
Thank you. Those were my other two items besides the one that's already listed.
We can do the golf course. No?
I think Gilbert's got a presentation, yes.
Mayor, Council, I thought I'd put together a quick PowerPoint. I laid a copy of it in front of y'all to address some of these numbers, because I think it just, working from this is kind of, it's a mess. But anyway, I thought I'd just address it in a PowerPoint. It's only about 75 pages, but don't worry about it. I'll go through it quick. This is just the first quarter operation, of course. It was still on our fiscal year. I'm going to hit the highlights that was emailed out, and I also laid a copy of the income statement cash flow in front of your desk on table right there. So I'm just going to hit the highlights. Just interrupt me whenever you have a question. The total revenues overall exceeds the business plan by $17,000. If you look at the gross sales on golf, that equates to about $239,000. When you break it out, the regular golf sales, what I mean by that is people walk up there once you just play golf that day and get a cart. That's no, they don't have an annual pass. That's that number. That's $99,000 we have collected to date. On the annual pass holder, we have collected $140,000. So one of the reasons why your revenue is kind of exceeding your business plan because we had the influx of the annual pass holders at the up front. Does that make sense to y'all? Food and beverage is lagging a little bit behind by $13,000. Right now, currently, we're evaluating some other food type of services and product, like maybe hot dog. What would it take to, if I'm a capital outlay cost-wise, to do some sinks and start providing some hot dog service there? Maybe that would help out the revenues itself. Right now, we're doing some cold cuts, sandwiches here and there, maybe tacos. Nothing that's consistent. Merchandise sales are lagging by $4,000. Of course, cost of goods sold, once you're, if your merchandise or food and beverage are down, you have a direct relationship. So, of course, my cost of goods sold is down as well. Clubhouse operating expenses, it's lower than the business plan by $26,000, mainly because we had some part-time vacancies. Sales tax fees were coming on the budget. Power and light, it's under budget right now, but as you well know, the summer months are coming in. That's going to pick up a little. Bank merchants fee, basically what those are, credit card fees that people buy stuff, the bank charge back to us. It's under budget right now. Of course, my sales are down. Golf course operating expense. This is the golf maintenance side of it. It's under by $108,000, mainly due to full-time vacancies at the beginning of the year. But that statement's not correct anymore. Currently, we're fully staffed. We're not fully staffed anymore. We currently, our superintendent decided to take another job up north, so good for him. Our fuel cost is down. Our chemicals and our light and power are down right now because we had the cold weather. Once certain months come in, that's going to pick up, of course, and our bill of maintenance is down. Am I going this fast? I can slow down, but I know this is not on the top of the list for you right now. My first quarter operation net income, we're looking at about $75,000, exceeding our business plan net income by $161,000. Right now, I expected a loss, but we're realizing $75,000 profit right now. Of course, the main reason why we have that is because our expenses are coming under budget right now, lower than expected. Now, annual passes, our compositions as follows. We got our regular annual pass holders. Those are somebody who's not 65 and somebody who doesn't have a cart, who's renting a cart shed out there, falls in that category. We have 25 of those. We're bringing $44,000 annually. Senior annual pass holder, we have 90 of those. That's about $152,000. Annual pass holder with cart shed rental, we have about 35 of those. That's $181,000. So overall, we have a total annual pass holder of 150. That equates about $277,000. We've been thinking about playing with that number a little bit in the future, maybe increase it a little more. But right now, we're staying as is. So bottom line, well, not bottom line yet. Let me talk about the golf rounds. I'm just presenting you a high level. We keep detail by number of 18s, by if you play 9 holes, if you walk and all that. But so I'm just showing the high level side of it. I grouped the seniors and regular annual pass holders together because we were picking up together as one unit. So in the future, they'll be separated. For right now, I got them together. For the first 3 months, there's 1,952 rounds. Annual pass holder with cart shed, they played about 631.5. The 0.5, of course, is half a 9. A half 18, excuse me. The regular play, or people who come and pay that day, is 2,897. That's my key right there. That's what I'm focused on right now. As you notice, January and February was around the 700. It ticked up, it doubled in March. That's good news. I need that to tick up just a little more, close to 16. So in April, I have those numbers already. It ticked up by 10. So hopefully, in May, June, July, we get a little more bump in that thing. So overall, for the first quarter, we got about 5,480 rounds played. Now, year-end projection. I know y'all thinking about what we're looking at year-end projection. I'm qualifying this because I'm a CPA. I can do that. So only if the cost of goods sold and expenses come in as projected right now, they're coming in lower. And I feel good about them because, as you well know, when it comes to the golf industry, or maybe not, but you can kind of modify and adjust your expenses. You can control that to a point. What you cannot control is your rounds of golf. So if my rounds of golf, the regular golf plays, people come up there and start paying for the day play, I need to average about $1,600 per month, okay? If that happens, I've got a good chance that I'm going to come out about $31,000 above my business plan net income, which is about $58,000. So I might hit around 88. So we got a good chance to come in good shape this year. Now, we still have 5 months left in this operation. I'm not counting April because that's already gone. We netted about $56,000 profit. But the key thing here, I want to make sure you understand it, is my number of actual plays so people come up there and pay for that day. I want to say one thing. Just because I say 1,600 is the key number, that's the key number for this year. It's not the key number coming years, because next year we have a full year round. I need that number to be above the 1,600, more between 1,750 to 1,800 at least. So with that said, that's all I have to say. That was quick and simple, and it's not 75, like I said. Any questions?
Is there any way to normalize or to, and normalize probably isn't the right word, but to take that annual pass income and spread it out over the 12-month budget so you can see a better idea?
In my 2019, I have that broken by month.
Okay.
Okay, you got to give me a little break here because this is the first time we're doing it. I have no idea. We didn't have good data or nothing as to how each month will be the cash flow I'm getting. But for my 12 months, and I think, I don't know if y'all seen it, but I have this big worksheet I allocate each month when I think I'm going to expense by month and revenue by month. So I have that broken out. Okay. So, yes.
Good. That's good. I got to tell you, I first looked at this, I got my columns mixed up, and I was really worried.
Well, I would too if I was seeing the other number.
I thought we were 166 behind.
No, but, kudos to Kobe and Rolando. They're doing an excellent job out there. So, but anything, I don't know if they want to talk or say anything else, but I doubt that seriously, but I just thought I'd invite them up. I have nothing else, Council.
And just a reminder, when you get the second quarterly report document, this will also be included in that, as it always is. We just with Mr. Ball Knight asking for it, we just pulled it out. So that quarterly report should be coming out next few weeks.
Hopefully by the end of this week, it's just being proofread right now.
So,
But besides the regular golf sales, we got a lot of huge chemical coming online right now, another month and none, and my electricity and irrigation. So that's another variable that still hopefully comes in what I think it's going to come in at. Other than that, thank you, council.
Thank you. So we're still under items from council. I just want to mention a couple things. This is National Peace Officers Week, I believe, and Councilman Balknight read a proclamation this morning for that, correct? And I was unable to attend. I was invited to San Antonio today to speak very briefly at the state EOC conference, which was interesting. A lot of DPS and emergency operation people there, and a couple of our own people there, so they were doing their job, Miss City Manager.
glad.
That was an interesting thing, so made it back in time for today. I also wanted to compliment Mr. Kaminsky recently, and I couldn't find, I know I got an email or something, we had some out-of-town business owners that, if our memory serves correctly, from California, and needed some help with an issue, and ended up with Mr. Kaminsky, and in the end, they just couldn't believe how responsive we were as a municipality. So, you kind of chuckle at that. It's like, oh, we try to be that way with everything. So good job, Mr. Kaminsky. And there's something else that I could not remember I was talking to the city manager about earlier. I got a really nice compliment. I'll find that one and bring it up next time. But I appreciate all the staff and the work they do. So, is there anything else under items from council? Yes, sir?
I had people ask me when the splash pads were going to open. Thought this might be an opportunity to get it on camera or in the press of when the splash pads might open.
Thank you, Mr. Halapaska. The airline splash pad, as you know, we're going under some hurricane repairs. That splash pad got finished up this week. We're making some cleanups, and that one will be open Memorial Day weekend. We'll be ready to go. The splash pad at the community center still had some repairs. The company will be down here Thursday. We got a valve and a couple minor things in the control box, and we're hoping to have it open as well for Memorial Day weekend. But that's our plan and our goal. If the airline one for sure. 90% believe that the one at the community center will be, but there is that just to make sure it gets done.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Very good. No other items from council. We'll move into citizens' communication. So this is a time for anybody who'd like to come up to the podium and just give us your name, and try to limit your remarks to at least 5 minutes out of respect for everyone else. Hello, Mr. Pedoni. Come on up.
How y'all doing?
Good.
My name's Anthony Pedoni. Address? Do I give you my address?
No, you don't have to do that anymore.
I appreciate your time tonight. It'll be brief. It's in regards to the hot funds that were awarded to the Victoria, Texas Independent Film Festival. At the beginning of the year, when that application was made, Elizabeth Spear was still the acting executive director, and it was important to her for us to apply for those funds as VTX-IFF as a nonprofit organization, and in the past it had been under the Victoria Performing Arts Center. In the past, Victoria Performing Arts Center would then hire Film Exchange, my company, a for-profit entity, a corporation, C Corp, to produce the festival, and those funds would be transferred to us in the production process. Once we secured an EIN for the Victoria, Texas Independent Film Festival, Elizabeth moved back to Austin and had committed to completing that paperwork process to make Victoria Film Festival a nonprofit entity, but over the next few months she became pregnant again and kind of lost interest, and she went away from the organization. So it kind of was left to me to pick up the pieces. And just recently when I talked to the city attorney, he had said that there hadn't even been a contract signed on that awarded money, which was news to me. And so I did a little more research, and absolutely no paperwork had been done in regards to making that entity a nonprofit. So I just come to you today to ask if there's any way to retroactively reward that money to Film Exchange, which is where it would have gone anyway, so that we could produce the festival.
This is for the festival that already happened.
It already passed, yes, sir.
Do you want to?
Sure,
I
I
know
can-
that the city attorney has talked to you, maybe another description of it for everybody so we fully understand.
No problem. Yeah, as you remember, council, right about the hurricane, you may not remember, you may have been distracted. About the time of the hurricane, we awarded funds to all of the hot funds outside agencies who applied. And Victoria Film Festival was one of those entities that received funding. We never received the contract back that we sent them. Now we know why. And now that he has completed his festival, he's asking to have a new contract issued in the name of his entity, Victoria Film Exchange, which is a valid going concern. It is it's not a 501c3, it's not a nonprofit, it is a for-profit corporation. There's not a problem with doing that. The entity, the film festival, has already produced the film festival. It's been put on. And he could certainly apply for the hot funds in exchange for what he's already done, except that the resolution awarded funds to an entity that doesn't exist. We thought it would exist because they were going to get that paperwork done. It never happened. And so now I can't write a contract in the name of somebody else, the Film Exchange, because council awarded it to Victoria, Texas Independent Film Festival. So one way to clean that up would be for council to approve a new resolution re-awarding the funds that had been awarded to the film festival to the Film Exchange for the event that has already taken place. And then we could get a contract signed with that entity, and then he can file his post-event report, and we would move forward from there.
So that would have to be put on a future agenda.
That's right. If that's the consensus of council, I could bring that back at the next council meeting for a resolution of approval.
That's not going to affect the hot funds from this year, right?
That's correct. It won't affect anybody else's award for this year. The dollars that would be under this contract had previously been awarded to the film festival. It just now would be awarded to a different named entity.
There's paperwork.
So the spirit of the award is still the same?
That's correct. The event and the activities that were being provided under the contract would remain the same, and that event has already happened.
But it still have to turn in financials and all that stuff to qualify for disbursement.
That's correct. We would still require proof of payment. We would still require that all the payments be eligible expenditures. We would still review everything.
Okay.
Well, the Hot Funds Committee, you know, it's been a year ago, made a recommendation for a film festival to fund it, and that's what we got. So I'm satisfied with that. So watch your paperwork next time, and he's like,
Yep.
I'm sorry, Anthony, you know I'm gonna tease you a little bit.
Totally fine,
I
man.
get it, I understand. I don't have a problem with it, council.
I don't
I'd
either.
assume just bring a resolution back, get all the Ps and Qs and names right, and we'll vote on it, and then you can submit the rest of your stuff.
I appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, citizens' communication still open for anyone else who would like to speak. Again, just your name and try to limit your remarks to 5 minutes.
Telling a preacher to limit his remarks to 5 minutes is pretty dangerous,
Yes, yes,
but I'll
sir.
try. My name's Carl Westbrook, and I'd like to echo Mayor Polasik's words of appreciation for the work you all do. We do appreciate what you do. I'm here regarding an article I read in the Victoria Advocate a couple of weeks ago, and regarding some of the work that you all are doing in terms of repairing streets and installing sidewalks. And I applaud that. That's a great thing. We got to have that. What I want to do is ask you to move up one of the projects on your priority list, and that is Leary Lane. For 3 years, I drove Leary Lane between Stockbauer and Howell School while our granddaughter was at Howell as a student. The day was rare when there were no children walking along Leary Lane or in Leary Lane. I wondered then how long it would be before we had an accident or even a fatality, because there are children who are elementary age all the way up to high school who are walking that street. And it seems to me to be a really important thing. I realize the right-of-way on each side of the street is very limited. And I don't know how, I'm not the engineer, so I don't know how you're going to do that. But folks, one child's life is worth more than whatever money is spent or whatever time, energy, and effort that the council and others may spend in putting in those sidewalks. In inclement weather, primarily, they are walking in the middle of the street. Many motorists do not observe the 30-mile-an-hour speed limit sign. Some of the kids ride bicycles. It is an extremely dangerous place. And I implore you to move Leary Lane up on your priority list for taking care of sidewalks. I don't know how any other way to say it, but I hope you'll give that serious consideration. I also want to thank Parks and Recreation for what is, I hope, an opening act on repairing and refurbishing tennis courts, public tennis courts in the city of Victoria. And I may have something more to say that on another occasion. But thank you so much, and I hope you will consider moving Leary Lane up on your priority list. Thank you. I'm going to have to eat and run because I've got homemade lasagna that my wife is cooking, and I don't want to disappoint either.
Understood. Thank you for your remarks. Oh, you want the address for the lasagna?
Oh, for the lasagna.
Okay. Hello,
Mr. Council,
sir.
I'm Gary Moore. I come up here to see if y'all reconsider my damage on my truck. I was driving down Road Green Street. I turned on Lewis Street. I fell off in a sinkhole. Damaged $2,500 worth of damage to my truck. And I'm not getting nowhere getting it fixed. I need my truck fixed. If I knew the street was going to cave in, I wouldn't have drove with that. But it caved in and it tore my truck up.
What was the street again, Mr. Moore?
On Rio Grande, when I was coming down Rio Grande, I turned on Lewis,
Okay.
right there by that pawn shop.
Okay. Okay, well, we will take that under advisement, Mr. Moore. We appreciate you coming and informing us.
When will I hear something?
We'll get with the city manager, I would assume within a week.
Well,
We'll
maybe
get back to you again.
And I've visited with Mr. Moore, as has Thomas, so, but it may be a case where we need to put it on the next agenda so we can talk about it.
Okay.
I know Gary, someone call him by his first name. Gary, since it wasn't on the agenda, they can't deliberate up here,
Okay.
but we'll put it on the next agenda so
okay.
they can
I
deliberate.
appreciate it.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Have a great evening.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Citizens communication still open for anyone else?
City Manager, Mayor, Council. Emilio Reyes, former President of Victoria Firefighter Association. I just wanted to come up here and thank y'all for all the years that I served as the president and the relationship that I had developed not only with city manager but also administration. And today I wanted to introduce the new president for the Victoria Firefighters Association, which is Ms. Brandy Merrick. She was voted unanimously by all the firefighters that are in the association, which is about 94. So she is the new president, and I hope that she develops and continues the relationship that we had built up with y'all and with our administration. So,
hi. I just want to let y'all know that I'm very excited to get to know all of y'all and to start working with y'all. So it's nice to meet you.
Thank you. And thank you for coming and introducing yourself. We appreciate it. Okay. Citizens communication still open? Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll close citizens communication. And let's see, we have a consent agenda.
There are 4 items on the consent agenda tonight that we approve by a single vote. They are first, the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of May 1st, 2018. Second, a resolution authorizing the city manager to renew the annual supply contract for gasoline and diesel fuels with Dune Distributing Incorporated based on the Victoria Placido Oil Price Information Service daily branded low rack price for an estimated total amount of $1,083,813 and declaring an effective date. The third is a resolution adopting the provisions of the Texas Local Government Code Section 252.0415, procedures for electronic bids or proposals, and establishing a city policy regarding procedures for the electronic receipt of formal electronic bids and proposals and declaring an effective date. And the fourth is a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a memorandum of understanding with Texas Health Center, PA, for an annual first responder physical health surveillance program in an estimated amount of $30,000 and declaring an effective date.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. E1.
E1 is a resolution authorizing the city manager or a designee to apply for and, if awarded, accept a grant from the 2018 Federal Home Loan Bank of Dallas Affordable Housing Program for up to $750,000 for the 2018 Rehabilitation and Stabilization Project, with no matching funds to be required from the city, and declaring an effective date.
I move to adopt E1.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions?
Can somebody just kind of go over where you're going to apply? Are we applying at the Development Services or the Texas Trust? Kind of just give us an idea.
Yes, it will be like we have done in the past, and Development Services will do all of the notification and do the vetting for the applicants to make sure that they're qualified. We will also, if awarded, partner with Community Action Agency through the administration of this grant. So if it is awarded, there will be a contract coming back to council with Community Action Agency to help us.
Okay.
How much did we do last time? I know we've done this before. This is a lot more.
This is
Right.
the largest that they've ever opened it up. I think historically we did about 25 homes with a $10,000 per home match. So it is quite a bit more for as far as how much you can apply for. This is the biggest it's ever been.
Okay, very good. When do you think, if we were to be awarded, about when would all that start?
Hopefully, we will know by October,
Okay.
and it will take a few months to get everything in order as far as the programs, because there's a very lengthy application process. And then once we do have applicants that are verified and qualified, they have to meet a lot of criteria as far as going through some certain classes and things of that nature before the work can start. So we wouldn't expect the construction work to actually start until the spring.
Okay, and I'm sorry to, the amount is determined how, the 750? Is that like made available to us as a municipality? Where does that come from? that amount?
It's actually paid for by the Federal Home Loan Bank. We would submit invoices to Trust Texas, and then they would pay those on our behalf. So
Oh, but the
we-
750 threshold, I mean, you're going to apply for a total of 750?
Yes.
Where did that number come from, 750?
That's the maximum that we can apply for.
Okay.
So we
So the
just-
maximum just went up a lot? Because,
Yes.
okay, okay. Thank you.
And I don't want to, Julie mentioned, we could not do this without a local bank willing to partner with us. And the grant opportunity came about very quickly, and Julie and her staff reached out to several local banks to see if there was an interest in Texas Trust. Stepped up and willing to work with us on this program. So absent them, we would not be up here asking for this grant opportunity.
Trust Texas Bank.
Trust Texas, I'm sorry.
Trust
Thank you.
Texas, okay. And kudos to them.
Yes, absolutely.
Anything else? Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same. Okay, E2.
E2 is a resolution designating the city of Victoria as a neighborhood revitalization and stabilization area and declaring an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, second. Any questions about this? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, E3.
E3 is a resolution designating Loop 463, the Zacklands Parkway, between US 59 Business, the Houston Highway, and US 77 Business, which is Navarro Road, as Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Highway and declaring an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? This is,
I want to again thank Mr. Marshall for keeping this at the forefront and working hard to get it done, and working with the city council members here. Thank y'all for doing that with him.
bet.
Thank you, Jeff.
Okay, and this is the resolution we send to TxDOT, and then we do some stuff with funding, and then eventually we'll get all the signs up later.
Well,
So,
TxDOT has to approve it, and, once they approve it, then we'll have to do an advance funding agreement, so that will come back to council. And then they'll move forward with installing the signs. TxDOT makes the signs and installs the signs, so.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, E4.
E4 is a resolution approving an amendment to the Victoria Sales Tax Development Corporation Programs and Expenditures for fiscal year 2017-18 to add the Nursery Road Phase 2 Tropical Drive to Loop 463 project in the amount of $348,597 and declaring an effective date.
I move to adopt E4.
Second.
Motion and second. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Can I make a statement?
Yes, please.
You know, I'm kind of saddened that you didn't ask Andrew a question on this, but this is Andrew's last council meeting with us, so he'll be retiring and moving on to the private sector. I know I've mentioned that before, but he is here tonight, and so want to recognize him for all his service he's done. And I know he's done a lot with the sales tax court board too, so.
Oh,
Wasn't told to get up here, but I will say thank
You've
y'all.
got 5 minutes.
5 minutes to prepare or 5 minutes to talk?
don't worry, that's not her decision.
No, but it's really been a pleasure, so certainly going to miss a lot of the relationships here, and looking forward to my next chapter in my life, so appreciate everything.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
I know you'll be very successful in whatever you do. Okay. Did I ask for a vote?
No.
Yes.
We voted?
Yes,
That's
we
right.
did.
Okay, E5.
E5 is a resolution awarding the Holly Street Sanitary Sewer Line Replacement Project, FEMA project number 3189, to IPR South Central LLC for their low bid of $43,810, authorizing the city manager to execute all documents necessary to complete the project and declaring an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same. Okay, it passes. E6.
E6 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with Power Secure Incorporated for the purchase and turnkey installation of a 400 kilowatt standby diesel generator for the raw water pump station in the amount of $273,490 and declaring an effective date.
I'll move.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Any discussion about this?
I just want to thank the city for working a long time to get this in front of us. God, when did you start working on it? Maybe November with Mr. Keith, and Mr. Keith is, wish he was here to say.
He
Oh,
is.
yes, there he is. Thank you for working with the city, get this done. This is a generator for the raw water pump station that is out there off of Lower Mission Valley Road. And the only other thing I want to see on this in the future is make sure we have a plan in place to refuel it. I know we're buying a 72-hour tank, but some way of either doing diesel bladders in a boat or whatever it may be.
Well, Donald has explained to me, and he or Mr. Keith can do this much better than me, that even though it's 72 hours, we believe it'll last us 6 days
Yeah.
with the usage that we were doing on those.
That's correct, as John had to explain to me. It is a 72-hour tank, but that's based on peak usage. During, like, for example, during the hurricane, we were nowhere near our peak usage. So we believe that would probably be more like a 6-day tank based on normal usage.
Yeah. That would
Okay.
be good, but still, make sure we have a plan to refill it
Yes, sir.
with a flood around it.
Sorry, I
Yes, sir.
understand.
Very good. Any other questions on this?
Thank y'all.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Well, the
And-
completion date is the only thing that worries me, because it's in October. And
Well-
we're gonna go through hurricane season again.
They will, Power Secure will start prepping the site immediately.
Okay.
And then we have an agreement with a rental generator. So if we get to that point where we have to drop in a generator, we will drop in a generator in this time period. So,
John just told me that he believed we'd have the pad ready in July.
okay.
So that we would have a place, we'd have a place to drop in a rental generator.
Okay.
So our quick connects are already there, so we're ready to go with that.
And we've already done road work that
Road work
felt
has
like
been
we
done.
needed to do. That was done several months ago.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
Does this one have an automatic transfer switch that's going to go in there with it?
We already have an automatic transfer switch there at that.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I think we can sleep well, and I'm pretty sure, willing to bet you'll be able to exercise those valves over at that other plant on Airline, if there's a next time as well.
Yes, sir. We've actually already been doing that. And
Oh, yeah.
We've turned that, you're talking about the water wells, right?
Yes.
Yes, we've already done that and turned that water back towards Plant 3, and that's working well.
I mean, the loss of power, we need this, but if you really look at it, if we'd have been able to exercise those valves, it wouldn't have been a problem, but, so it's compounded multiple issues, but But this is a great resource to have, and there's a lot more than just a generator in that price, obviously. Fuel tank and site prep and et cetera, et
Crane.
cetera. Yeah,
That's the turnkey, the crane, that, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
so-
a turnkey, so.
very good. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. E7.
E7 is a resolution awarding the downtown water and sanitary sewer replacement project to J&R Contracting Services Incorporated for their low bid of $2,925,568.90, authorizing the city manager to execute all documents necessary to complete the project and declaring an effective date.
Make a motion to adopt E7.
Second.
Motion and seconding, discussion. I have one quick question. After these 4A, 5A, 6A are complete, what % of that whole project?
We'll be done.
Is that
That's
just
it.
the last, okay,
This
because it
is
was
the
a
last-
10-year.
Yes, sir. This is the
Wow.
last phase. We'll be done with this project.
And
Oh,
and for the
goodness
public, 400 days?
400, yes, yes, sir.
Okay.
Do we have
Oh,
a total
man.
Weather,
cost on that?
weather permitting.
Do we have a
400.
total cost on that?
I'm sorry?
The total cost on the downtown replacement project?
I do not have that.
45 million? We poured into the downtown
Over 10 years, yeah,
over 10 years.
yeah.
The object is that you can't see any of it. It's all underground.
Right. Most of it, yeah, most of it is underground. Yes, ma'am.
Try
You
turning
can
it
feel
on.
it in certain places when you drive over it.
You know, we didn't need that, Mr. Bachnight. No, golly. All right, where are we? Yeah, any more questions on that one? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same. Thank you. Number 8.
Number 8 is a resolution ratifying the city manager's execution of a contract with J&R Contracting Services Incorporated for Crestwood Drive Emergency Sanitary Sewer Line Replacement Project in the amount of $49,700 and declaring an effective date.
I'll move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
This is already done.
Yes, sir.
They need to get back over there and sweep up the rock. It's all in the gutters, or in the curbs, as well as I think still that section around Nazareth. Can't remember if I stepped over it again today or not.
I don't know that they've finished sweeping around Nazareth, have they?
We can work, make sure we get that done. I'm not sure if they've finished sweeping or not, but I'll get somebody to
that
sweep
was-
up the rock over there, and then we'll check that up around
Yeah,
Nazareth
that project was
also.
kind of concurrent with Country Club, and they've swept Country Club, so I'll make sure they get that finished downtown as well.
Yes, sir.
Have they swept Navarro Convent, Murray already?
I know they swept once. I don't know if they've
Because
swept.
there was a complaint that we
okay.
had gotten on Convent, so.
I'll double check, and if it needs more, we'll work something out.
All right, thank you.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. E9.
E9 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an amendment to the interlocal agreement for aquifer storage and recovery demonstration project with the Victoria County Groundwater Conservation District to extend the termination date and declaring an effective date.
So
Move
moved.
it up.
Second?
We have a motion, second. Are there questions?
Yes, I do have one. So I looked at your presentation you're getting ready to give us on that test well.
Yes, sir.
And this is the same well we're talking about?
That's correct.
In the presentation, it says that, believe we've already proved everything that it works. Are we really not to that point, and that's why we need to?
This resolution here is basically just a paperwork exercise. There were some delays on equipment. The weather, Hurricane Harvey kind of put us back, so Texas Water Development Board and the Groundwater District have amended their agreement to add some time. So this is just a paperwork exercise to make our agreement with Texas Water Development, with the Groundwater District match that agreement.
Okay, but we're pretty much done with the project, right?
We are pretty much done with that project, yes, sir. There's just
Okay.
with the construction of that project, but there are some additional cycle testing and sampling that are supposed to go on for a few months that, when we talk about it later on, we're gonna have to figure that out further on.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay.
E10 is a resolution awarding the 2018 Navarro Street Sidewalk Maintenance Project to Levenka Construction Company for their low bid of $69,472.15, authorizing the city manager to execute all documents necessary to complete the project and declaring an effective date.
Make a motion to approve item E10.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same. Okay. Item E10 passes. Now we're into our city manager reports.
I'm telling Donald not to move. I'll let him go first while he's standing there. Update on the aquifer storage and recovery.
Sure. So if y'all have already seen from the email that went out late last week or early this week, the ASR well has had a little bit of a hiccup. We were able to put about 19 million gallons of water downhole, and we know that it's being held there. However, when we started the first backwash, which is that's something you do with an ASR well, it's routine maintenance. You're going to backwash that well a little bit, and then you're going to start putting water back downhole for a time, and then you're going to backwash it again. It's just part of the function of that well. We had good water for about 10 or 20 minutes, and then it started to pump sand, which means there's something wrong down in the column. We really don't know what it is at that time, but we stopped pumping, thinking maybe it would clear itself up, started at a real slow level, hoping that maybe it would settle out and we'd start being able to pump clean water again. Unfortunately, even at a slow level, it was still pumping sand. So at that point, before we damaged the pump and the motor, we decided to shut the well off and kind of regroup. At this point, I can't tell you what the problem is downhole. We're going to have to do some cleaning of that well and then get it TV'd before we know what the problem is, and that's where it sits right now.
Can that be related to using that hole or casement in the opposite direction that it's been operating in?
I really won't be able to answer that until we see what's down there. I mean, it's possible. It definitely could be possible, but until you get down there and see, is it a problem with the gravel pack, or did we have a failure of the screen or something? We just don't know what the problem really was.
It's a good question. I was thinking, after I read that email, and I forgot to bring it up earlier, use one well to put the water down and a different well to take it out. But that would, I don't know.
I mean,
you guys will figure it out.
It is a traditional water well. It was not built for ASR, but that retrofitting a well is not uncommon. It's done all over the world. So, that's why we chose to do it here, because we had a well, and retrofitting a well is much, much cheaper than drilling a brand new ASR well. A brand new ASR well is around $2 million. So, I mean, just to give you a comparison, for a pilot program, we thought it was much wiser to spend a few $100,000 than $2 million. And we still don't. I mean, till we get down the downhole and do the cleanup, we just don't know what the problem is.
And I think one of the things for the report tonight is we want to see if council's willing to let us spend the money to see what's gone wrong with the well, and if that's the case, we'll bring back a resolution to do that. But we may get down, look at the well, and say there's nothing we can do. We need to plug the well, but we don't know that at this time. It could be a simple fix, as Donald has explained to me, or it could be a very complex fix. So.
Are we gonna do it ourselves, or are we gonna subcontract it?
Oh, no, sir. No, sir. We don't have the expertise to do this. Donald, you want to explain who would do this work for us?
I'm sorry, I missed the question.
Mr. Del Garza asked if we would do it ourselves or we would sub, and I said, no, we'd sub it out. We don't have the expertise in-house to do that.
We would sub that out. We do not have the expertise on staff, nor do we have the equipment to do that. The equipment is very specialized to clean that well out.
What is that process? Got any idea?
Yes, sir. It's gonna be a combination of methods. It'll be jetting that well, trying to bring the sand out of it, And it could even be, if the sand won't come out that way, it may even be bailing that, which is basically sending another pipe down there to pick it up and pull it out and set it out on the ground. So it's going to be whatever the contractor decides is the best method to do it. The easiest and probably the cheapest method would be to jet it out.
Then after that's cleared, you'd send a TV
We'd camera
down there,
Yes, yes.
see what's going
Well,
on.
we can also find out where the sand's coming from. I didn't realize till I'd had a conversation that that thing is screened from 100 foot all the way down to 900 feet. It goes clean through the whole Gulf Coast aquifer, through the Evangeline, the Chico, and all of them in between. If we find out that the culprit is one of those layers, we can seal that off till have a good well.
That is a possibility. Unfortunately, you have to do the work, and as Gilbert was just pointing out to me, if y'all choose to move forward with this, we would need to bring a budget amendment back to you.
I think the ASR is very worthwhile. It's a very responsible thing for this community to do to secure water for the future. It's a 20-year project or more. There's many other parts to it. And, yes, my answer is definitely to see what we need to do to continue.
Absolutely.
I expect more of these little setbacks here and there probably over the years. I hope not. But I don't know, council, do y'all agree or?
I'd like to do it because I want to make sure that our wells, if we do find that it was because of reverse flow from the ASR or something that messed up the screen, well, then next time we know that we need to go check that before we reverse that well, if we choose a different one.
Right, I will tell you that prior to doing any work down hole other than just cleaning it, we did go down and TV and make sure that the gravel pack looked good, the screen looked good. The only issue we saw with this well was a little bit of corrosion on the perforated casing, which we don't believe that's the problem. But if you remember, I came to you and made a report several months ago where we changed the method of cleaning that casing from a mechanical method in a jetting method to a sonojet method to a acidize, where we just surged it with acid. And that was because we thought that casing had some corrosion and we didn't want to take a chance of breaking the casing.
Did we happen to record that?
I think we recorded it before we did it and then after we did it, and I'd have to look, but I think we have
Just so this time, if you get
Yeah,
camera down there, you can compare.
we have the TV log for sure afterwards, that's for sure.
Good.
Donald, don't we have, doesn't San Antonio also have an ASR?
Yeah, they have a fully developed well field. They have a lot of
Well,
ASR
you know,
wells.
I'm thinking maybe they might have, you know, you asked them if they ran into some of these problems.
We can call them. I'm not sure that they retrofitted. I believe they drilled new wells, but I can definitely reach out to them. That's
Okay.
not a problem at all.
Okay.
Donald, let's remind council and the public who we used for this project. It was somebody that specializes in
Sure.
ASR.
We used a company called ASR Systems as our engineer, and the lead consultant on that is a gentleman named David Pine, who's been doing this for 40-something years, and he's done it all over the world. And then he's got an engineer that works for him, Ted Belser, this is all he does. This is his niche. ASR development is what he does. And then the gentleman that came down and actually was teaching our staff how to backwash and produce and develop this well, Tom Morris, is 30 years in the field, and he actually helped develop well fields in the Las Vegas area. So there's lots of experience with this. These guys know what they're doing, and I don't believe that we had a failure with the ASR. I believe we're going to find that there was some sort of a well failure, which tells me that the ASR is still a viable option for us. We just need to figure out what happened down hole and see what we can do to try to avoid it next time.
Good. Look forward to hearing more.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Donald.
Do
So,
you-
sorry.
Go ahead.
The next report is on I just have a report on the tow truck ordinance. You may remember a few months ago, well, let me back up. Closer to a year ago, we, at the request of a local tow truck company, we started relooking at our ordinances, you know, changed the fees. And then just a few months ago, so that ordinance has been in place 9, 10 months. And a few months ago, we had some other tow truck companies come forth and ask us to relook at it. And they wanted us to limit the number of slots that a company was allowed. So I asked April, City Secretary Allison from the city attorney, I was going to say city manager's office, the assistant city attorney. Allison, you didn't know you just got moved, did you? And then the police department was represented by Caleb Brashears, Captain Brashears. I asked them to look at the ordinance and see if they would make any recommendations or changes. And they worked on that for a few months and checked with other cities and then came back. There were some very minor changes with some wording, but no major changes. So my proposal tonight is for us just to leave the ordinance as is and maybe look at it in the fall. But what I want to tell you is we've had a few other tow trucks calling us. They would like, for that limited slots to be done. I've had one different proposal again today. So the tow truck owners all have various opinions on what they would like. There seems to be a group of them that would like for it to be limited. And of course, we have one or two that would like for it not to be limited. So, hey, that sounds much better than my report.
It's ice cream truck.
Do it.
Ice cream truck.
Yeah.
Cubs fan.
My recommendation is let's go a few more months, relook at it in the fall again to see if we want to limit the number of slots or if we want to do something totally different. At the last meeting that this came up, the mayor said, well, maybe we just need to bid it out and have one provider that provides our tow truck service for us. And that's something that, we can look into that option. So, but it's, I told the mayor today, I've been around the city 27 years, and even though I was in HR, I can remember back in the 90s when the city was dealing with the tow truck ordinance. And it just seems like every few years, the companies are asking us to relook at it. So, and reminder to the public is we have this rotation. So when we have an incident on the streets with a vehicle that needs to be moved, our police officers can, in a very organized and orderly manner, call dispatch and have them send out a tow truck. So it helps us, helps the officer release the scene quicker and then clean up the scene quicker so the motoring public's not affected. So that's one of the major reasons for that. But my recommendation today is that we just stay the course, not make any changes, and I can guarantee you'll be getting phone calls.
How many companies do we have on rotation?
Rotation? April probably knows off the top of her head.
7.
Okay.
Knows them by name, I'll bet. All of them.
Yes. And then with those 7, April gave me a list, we have one company that has 5 slots, one company that has 25. This is just your normal rotation. One company that has 4, one company that has 6, one company that has 1, and then 1 and 4. So you've got one company that has a lot of slots, which they pay for those slots through the fees.
It's a little bit, well, it's aggravating at times. We seem to be sitting in the middle of
These are non-consent tows
this
as well.
business transaction between people, but they're non-consent, so we have to call on behalf of the citizen. If someone's got over 20 slots, you think they have over 20 drivers hired? Maybe it ought to be based on how many commercial drivers they have hired. And I'll say it's a game. It gets old. I get tired of it. I've talked to all of them, and I understand their frustrations, but if we're calling on our citizens' behalf, why don't they bid and pay us 10% of the call, and we'll see who pays us the most or whatever. Think of it a whole different way here. It's just because it's always been done this way doesn't mean it has to be done that way. So I think it needs to be thought out differently. How many of you have been contacted by tow truck operators? Not enough yet, okay. Well, you might be. So.
Thanks for that invitation, Mayor.
Well, no. Well, and some of them I consider good friends. I think they're all good business operators, and I certainly mean that very sincerely. And I understand their frustrations too. There's got to be a better way. I mean, if you're going to tell me you have over 20 slots, you're going to dominate the call volume, There's no way you have 20 drivers sitting around. I mean, that's the first thing I thought of is what the heck? So, anyway, I don't know. We'll see.
Go around and start inspecting, make sure they got wheels on the trucks?
We do. The state inspects them all to make sure that they actually all run. That question has come up, and I've had, yeah.
I can tell you, they call and tell on each other. So
Yeah.
if they believe that somebody's not in compliance with state law, April gets a phone call. So, I mean, it's.
And I understand that
I mean,
too to
they-
some
y-
extent,
y-
yeah.
Yeah, they police themselves really well.
Yeah.
They do. So,
They keep their
Okay.
knives sharpened.
but that's my recommendation is we just stay the course for a few more months and then council's interested in going the way the mayor suggested, we can look at that in the fall or later on.
I just put a big target on my head
Eh,
then, didn't I?
I'm
That's
sorry.
okay.
I'm
That's all
sorry.
right. That's all your city manager reports?
That's it.
We do have an
we
executive
do.
session. It's just informational and no announcements after.
Sure.
Correct.
The
Okay.
city council will recess for executive session on the 15th day of May 2018 at 6:05 PM. The subject matter of the executive session deliberation is as follows. Texas Government Code Section 551.072, to deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property interests due to the fact that a deliberation in an open meeting would have a detrimental effect on the position of the city in negotiations with a third person. Thank you.
And before we leave, happy birthday to Tanner Drake, Chief
Oh,
Drake.
yeah.
Today's his birthday. So
birthday.
occasionally we have birthdays on Tuesdays.
Doing it here?
Yes, we'll just go right over here.